You're listening to a pre-recorded show.
Now back to the Weekend Real Estate Report on 105.7 The Fan.
All right, we're back. I'll tell you what, if you've got contacts that sit in the case better than they do in your eyes, well, that's a problem, but we have a solution. Our friends over at Aspen Eye Care can help you see things more clearly, and they've been doing it for over 40 years. Also, if you know anyone suffering from macular degeneration or Stargardt's disease, they have a 98% success rate helping those people as well. They also have a way to correct nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism, everything else without surgery. They can explain that a little bit better than I can, but you can find them at lowvisionmd.org, and they're located right across the fairgrounds in Timonium. Aspen Eye Care, it's where my whole family goes, including myself, to get our eyes examined. They do a great job, and they're the only group we trust with our vision. Listen, if you want to see the real estate market clearly, you got to talk to my friend Tony Zowd, who's on with us right now. He's with Integrity Plus Network of Coldwell Banker, and he's been around for a long time. Great realtor. In fact, I just referred someone to him, a good friend of mine. But Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So I know you've been keeping busy, and the markets. It's interesting what's going on out there. I'm not sure if you're seeing this, but I'm seeing it in some pockets where it's starting to normalize just a little bit. We're starting to see inventory pick up a tad. We're starting to see some buyers who were getting frustrated maybe take a little breather, which is helping some of the demand and some of the competition. But it's still crazy out there. Just I'm seeing a little bit where it's maybe not as crazy. Are you seeing that still, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what clients ask me all the time. What's the market look like? And 6 months ago, I would say it was complete insanity. Most offers or houses you were seeing getting anywhere from 15 to 20 offers. And now it's just crazy, right? It's dropped down a little bit. Things are tightened up a little bit. And you see them now. I'm getting, I just went through one. It was like 5 to 10 offers. So it's still pretty busy in most areas, as long as you're pricing them correctly and not taking it for granted. You're seeing some where, they're not doing professional photos, or like the seller won't even clean and just think they're going to sell it top dollar. I think they're the ones you're starting to see set a little bit. So I think the inventory is obviously helping mellow things out. But I think people pushing the price and not really taking the market for granted is kind of what's also doing it, where you're starting to see houses set and maybe some price reductions.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's held true that I've seen is when you have a good realtor like yourself and they price the house correctly, not only does it sell quickly, it sells for more money. I know that there's a house that I won't say much more, but it's on the market for a ridiculous amount of money, and it's been on the market for like 3 months. And I'm thinking, are they going to what they're asking for this older house? You could go literally 2 miles away and buy a brand new, but a neighbor just put the house up from them, and for like $100,000 less, but a much nicer house, and it sold the same day for like $40,000 above asking. So I think at some point, some realtors and some sellers have to realize, like you said, you can't just put a sign in the front lawn and think that 70 people are going to be beating it down, saying like, a crazy eBay auction to try to bid it up. That being said, I called you for a friend about the house you had in Deer Park, and that thing sold quickly. That was a really good deal.
Yeah, actually, that house there, we ended up with like 8 offers on. Obviously, it's under contract, but we're above asking, and I think we priced it correctly. The sellers did go in. They didn't remodel the whole house, but they cleaned it up, did some touch-up. We bought a stager in, the professional photos, so that all helped push it. And like you said, I think those are the houses that are moving. It's the people that are taking it for granted right now and trying to push that value just too high for what the market's calling for. And ultimately, that's the ones that are going to be a price reduction and settle in the market a little bit. I know I tell my clients, my buyer clients to come in, because you still have some that come in and need closing help or, really reaching to get that price. If the house has been on the market, I'd say any more than 2 weeks to 3 weeks, now we can start talking about, we could probably get a price reduction here or get you some closing help, because in this market, if you're on the house market for 3 weeks, it's like being on the market for 6 months.
Is it still holding true? And there's probably not as many examples of it, but in the old days, if a house was on the market for like 3 months and then relisted, it was usually like a big red flag, like, okay, what's going on here? Like if something was on the market and gets relisted, is that typically, because I've even heard of some clients, like realtors, that have told me, the first realtor had it priced too high. I went in and had a, come to Jesus meeting and told the sellers, look, this is why no one's coming in. It's priced too high. Put it at this number and it'll sell right away. So is that still like an astigmatism, or is that something that's, I don't know, people don't really care?
No, I think it is because I think some agents go in and they just want to grab the listing, so they'll list it for anything. So sometimes the sellers talk them into listing it higher than it should be, and then everybody else is selling real quick in a week, and they're not. So then they get upset, and then they end up releasing that agent, and then they start talking to other agents, and they have somebody comes in that's just being upfront and honest and can show the numbers, and then they come to the reality is, yes, we do have to do a price reduction. We might have to clean up the house a little bit, do some staging or whatever, and that will take off and get you sold, where the other agents sometimes just won't speak up. So it's better that I would rather be honest and have that conversation and not get the listing than for my client to come back to me in a couple weeks or 3 weeks and say, what's going on? What didn't you do?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's super important for sellers to realize, like, just because your aunt's cousin used a realtor doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the right realtor for you. You really have to do your research and find the best realtor who's going to be honest with you, tell you what you need to hear, and get the house ready so that it does sell for a great price and quickly. And more importantly, they help you choose the right lender on that offer so that you make sure the loan does close. Because that's the other thing. I've heard horror stories where someone comes in and makes a ridiculous offer and is accepted, and they choose a bad lender, and then the thing never closes, and everyone's yelling at each other. That being said, what are some things that people need to do before they make an offer on a house? Obviously, a pre-approval is number one, but let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously you want to get pre-approved because the seller's not even going to look at the offer unless you can show proof of funds, right? So go get your pre-approval. You just want to be ready because, even if you don't want to be rushed, if you find the right house, you don't want to take the time then to go get the pre-approval, because by the time you do, that house is going to be 10 other people making offers on it. So that's the very first step. Get pre-approved. Make sure we know what price range you're in. You can show that you have proof to buy the house. So when you do want to pull the trigger and be ready, you're ready. There's no delay in that. So, and then the other thing is I would interview agents. So you definitely want to interview your agent to make sure that you know who you're working with, right? Because you're going to be with them at least 30 days, sometimes longer, depending how long it takes to find this house. And you want to make sure, I think the first thing is that your personalities match, right? You want to make sure he's professional, but you also want to make sure your personalities match and that you're working with somebody you like, in my opinion. And then the second part of that is to make sure that agent is somebody that's been through this process and understands it.
Yeah, you're right. Because it's not something you just want to like. You also want to trust them, because this is not something most people do on a daily basis. So they need someone who knows the ins and outs of the market, especially now that we're starting to see the market change just a little bit. And, a realtor that can bring that expertise and advice. And even if it's a newer agent, if they have a team behind them of experienced agents, you're still getting the best of both worlds. You're getting someone that's hungry, that's going to work their tail off for you, but they also, if something pops up that they haven't experienced yet, they can lean on those people. Speaking of which, you've got Marcus, a new realtor that you're really high on. Let's talk to Marcus real quickly and ask him about his journey into the real estate world.
Yes, thanks for having me. So I transitioned full-time in 2018 to real estate, and I'm going into my fourth year. So far, it's been a pretty awesome ride. I'm working with buyers and sellers in Howard County, Baltimore, and, other spots throughout Maryland. And, I've joined the Integrity Plus Network, I think it was April of 2019. Essentially just kind of teaches you the fundamentals of being a realtor, coming from the corporate world. You have, a lot of dreams and aspirations to be a top agent, but, realistically, you're coming into the business at an entry-level position. And I think that, joining a team, that kind of trains you and, lets you shadow and, teaches you listing presentations and buyer's consultations and so forth, mixed with the person who wants to do well and succeed. It's a perfect combination for someone like myself.
Yeah, we were just talking with Tony about how it's important for sellers and buyers to interview and choose the realtor they're going to work with. But there's some parallels too between what you just said. You left the corporate world to come in. Obviously, you talked to a couple of different realtor firms before you chose Integrity Plus. Let's talk about that journey a little bit, because same thing. You probably interviewed, Tony and Erica and other people and said, okay, here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I need. And it seemed like a good fit. Let's talk about your journey into finding them.
Well, you know what? To be honest, I joined the Coldwell Banker team, and I released a commercial, if you will, just to kind of hit the industry with a bang. And it was like a shot heard around the world, and it caught the attention of Tony Zowd and Sandy. And, they called me into their office, and, they asked me if I wanted to join their team. And, I went home, thought about it, talked it over with my wife, and I thought that, it was probably the best decision for me at that time. I think, looking back, most of the agents that kind of started with me, got to be honest, I really can't say that I've ever seen them again. So, I think that, ideally it was a good decision, to join the team. I really didn't interview with any other teams. They just reached out to me, and, I think it was a perfect match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's important, again, as we talk to buyers, sellers, you need to interview the realtor, find out what they can do for you. Integrity Plus does a lot of things for both their buyers and sellers, and it's really full service. So it's super important, again, that people realize who they're working with, what they can be offered, and just how it goes through. I think the most important thing, too, is, sellers want to be told, oh, your house is the most beautiful house I ever sold, and buyers want to be told, oh, yeah, you're going to be great. But in this world, you need people who are going to be honest with you and tell you, listen, your house is nice, but you need to fix this and this. Or as a buyer, hey, look, yeah, you are a great buyer, but you know what? We need to get a pre-approval. We probably need to boost his credit score. Maybe we need to do a couple of these other things. So when it's like, I don't know, maybe not a makeover is a great example, but when you're going to this realtor, whether you're seller or buyer, you want to talk to them and say, listen, this is my goal. Can you tell me how you're going to get me there? And I think that's probably the best interview question a buyer or seller can ask a realtor. As a realtor doing this several years, is that a question that you welcome?
Absolutely. I think, when you're talking to both buyers and sellers, it's important that you kind of set the realistic expectation. And, I never want to, overpromise and underdeliver. So it's for me, I just never want to put myself into a position to where I'm going back to the buyer and I'm going back to the seller and, having to kind of backtrack on something that I said. So it's always best to just kind of leave it all out on the table just so that, I can manage their expectations and what we're getting ready to get into.
All right. Well, for anyone listening, whether it be a buyer or a seller that says, hey, this Marcus guy sounds pretty good, I'm going to give him a call. How can people reach out to you to either have you represent them as a buyer or to help them list and sell their house for a great price?
Sure. You can call me directly at 410-226-6395. You can email me at marcus.robinson@cb, as in Coldwell Banker, move.com. And I'm very cool. You can also text me as well. I'm very quick to respond, and those are the two easiest ways to reach me.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Marcus, we appreciate you joining us. Stay on there because we're going to bring you and Tony back right after this commercial break. And I'll tell you what, if you want to impress someone, we have a way to do it. You got to check out our friends at Flowers and Fancies. Over 40 years of great customer service delivering top quality products. Listen, they have fresh flowers flown in daily, over 300 types. And at their office in Louis Mills, they have all kinds of great things. You can actually contact them. They can create something special for you, customized. If you're getting married, I tell you what, these people can help you out. They have a whole concierge team dedicated to that. This is the same florist that every year when Preakness comes to town, they only call one florist. They call Flowers and Fancies. Why? Quality product, great service, great opportunities there, and of course, great products. Again, over 300 fresh flowers flown in daily. Some really, really cool stuff. If you have something maybe a little more somber, maybe someone's in a hospital or maybe it's a funeral, whatever, you want to make a great statement, you just tell them, listen, there's a close friend of mine. Here's what I'd love to do. This is their favorite colors, whatever. They'll do whatever you need. flowersandfancies.com, open 7 days a week, and if you get a hold of them for 3 o'clock Monday through Friday, same day delivery in the Baltimore and the surrounding areas. Longest running sponsor of our show, and we really, really love their products and their service. Check them out. Like their Facebook page, and if you decide to use them, tell me you heard it here on the radio. They'll appreciate that, as will we. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Tony and Marcus from the Integrity Plus network of Coldwell Banker. We got some great topics coming up, including how to deal with the competition in this market and why having relationships with other realtors is a pretty important part of this whole market approach. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple.
The Weekend Real Estate Report will be right back on 105.7 The Fan.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show.
You're listening to the Weekend Real Estate Report on 105.7 The Fan.
You do a great job here giving the audience quite a bit of information. For a lot of guys like me, I'm sure a lot of females have certainly been enlightened and informed to help their life a little bit better. So keep up the good work.
Once again, Carl Delmont.
Hey, if you're looking for a mortgage, I'll tell you what, we know a company, Freedmont Mortgage Group. We've been around almost 30 years, complimenting home warranty on all purchases. And we have people on standby even today. So if you need a pre-approval or just have questions, you can reach out at info@fremont.com or just visit us online at fremont.com, FREEDMONT.com, and MLS number 2893. All right, we're back with Marcus now, and he is with the Integrity Plus Network. Marcus, one of the things that I've explained to people is that when you're hiring someone who's going to list your house, one of the things is if you hire a pretty good realtor, they probably already have a pretty large amount of buyers waiting for homes to come on the market. So if you hire the right realtor, odds are you're probably going to sell as quickly because he probably has someone who's like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. How true is that in this marketplace? Are you seeing that a lot? Like, are you able to get listings because you have buyers, or when you get a listing, do you have a lot of buyers already lined up looking?
Yeah, and essentially the listing also brings buyers itself. So, say for instance, some of the previous listings that I have, you still have buyers, inquiring about it, calling in about it, and eventually what you do is you accumulate a list of buyers. So, you explain to them, hey, this listing has sold. However, I have, 123 Main Street that's getting ready to hit the market this Friday. Why don't you come on down and take a look? I'll go ahead and show it to you. You send them the listing and so forth. And, you kind of keep that going.
What's interesting, too, is hearing your personal story and journey into the real estate world. I know realtors have been doing this 30 years, and they've sort of somewhere along the way lost touch of what's going on out there. Even though they have a ton of experience, like as far as longevity, it seems like the last 7-8 years or so, some of them haven't kept up with the times, and it shows in talking to them, everything else. Conversely, someone who said, oh, wow, real estate's hot, I'm going to get into it, and they got into it the last 6 months. All they know is this weird market. Your timing's been kind of interesting because you came in when the market was decent, but it's continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. So you've sort of got to see like this whole transformation of how things have worked. What's that been like since like you first started and what it's like today? I mean, back in 2018, we weren't, 20 people making an offer one house wasn't the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been all over the place. I think one of the main things is that 2018, during our buyers consultations, is we're explaining to the buyers the importance of doing a home inspection. It's one of those things where you just don't buy a house without a home inspection. Fast forward to today, we're letting the buyer know, hey, you're not going to get this house unless you waive the home inspection. So that is the very first thing that that stands out. Another thing is that some of the listing agents, when you're reaching out on behalf of a buyer, they're just so busy that they don't return your call, or they may return it a little bit late, or you may just get a notice that, hey, another offer's been accepted, as opposed to, back in 2017, 2018, as soon as you showed the house, the first thing, they're doing is calling you, hey, is your buyer interested? Well, what do they think? Can I get some feedback? So it's funny how the tables have turned, now that it's a seller's market, the listing agents, they're not, they're in a position of power. So they're not really chasing after you like they used to.
Yeah, the market's changed so much. And, I was telling Tony in the first segment, it's we're starting to see a little bit of a normalization where a little more inventory coming on. Some buyers who were frustrated are taking a little bit of a breather, so that's helping the competition side a little bit. But I think that's what we need, because there were a few voting Fed members that were talking as recently as like a month and a half ago that I think we need to raise rates to, sort of calm this housing market. And I'm like, I'm not sure that the cure that they're proposing is as good. It might be worse than the actual ailment. I think there's other ways to curtail that. So if the market can kind of, fix itself a little bit, that may be good, because at this point, I think the economy still needs a little bit more help. And the Fed either stopping the purchases of MBS and treasuries, and or raising rates right now is probably a little too much premature. So I'm glad that they said that the other day, that they're going to remain pat. But, when it comes to the home buying market, I mean, we're not really seeing a lot of people saying, obviously people are rate sensitive, more so in the refinances, but, are people calling you to buy houses because rates are low because they really want to own a house?
No, not necessarily. I think that is one thing that we, express to the buyers, that even though it is a seller's market, it's still a good time to, buy a house because the rates are low. But it's not the first thing that buyers are calling us for to buy a house is because the rates are so low.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, it's because they're just ready to buy a house. They're tired of renting. Certain situations to where it's more, for a reason for them to want to buy a house as opposed to the rate. I think the low interest rates just kind of helps, with the, with the home buying process. But I just want to say that it's not the number one reason why someone is calling to buy a house.
Correct. All right. Well, speaking of houses, I know Tony's got a couple listings that he wants to talk about. Let's listen to these.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, so I know you got a couple listings. Let's go over some of these things. Because the last time that we talked about them, they sold almost immediately.
Yeah, so we got a few coming up. So I just listed on 14619 Hanover Pipe in Upperco, Maryland. Only $385,000. Mm-hmm. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath on an acre and a quarter. Overlooks a pasture. Beautiful, beautiful opportunity there. Just came on. Unfortunately, but good news for a new buyer, 3914 Beckleysville Road in Hampstead just came back to the market. Buyer's financing fell through. So comes back, gives you a second chance to come back and get that one. And then we got Lindsay Hyatt with the Integrity Plus Network on our team has just listed 6011 Emerson Street in Bladensburg, a nice little condo for $72,000. And then finally, we have a brand new one to the market, 7218 Elk Ridge Crossing Way in Elk Ridge, Maryland. And Keith Snyder will be holding that open this Sunday for us between 1 and 3. And that one is listed at $299. So it's a great condo, 2-story condo that's actually listed below $300,000. And then we have one more coming soon right now is 8114 Long Point in Dundalk for $279, and that one's coming soon. So keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, and those are all price points that are. Oh, cool. Yeah, those are all properties that are, great first-time buyer price points. But more importantly, you'll probably be paying less than or equal to what you're paying in rent, but now you have home ownership at those price points. So those are all very, very attractive. I'll tell you what, if anyone wants to know more about these properties, Tony, tell people they can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way is just go to integrityplusnetwork.com, or you can give us a call at 443-610-9462.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, because you've been doing this a long time, in most businesses, car dealers, roofing guys, whatever, they hate competition. They don't like, the guy that's doing the same thing they're doing. But the realtor world, it's kind of different. I mean, you guys all sort of get along for the most part. There's a lot of collaboration, and I think that's great because it's important. Both sides are trying to get the deal. You're representing your respective clients, but you both want your clients to walk away happy, not upset with one another. Kind of like, divorce attorneys. They're, people want to be divorced, but they want to have a little bit of money when it's, left over when it's all said and done. When it comes to this, it's important to have these relationships, but I think some consumers, whether they're looking for the listing agent or they're looking for the buyer's agent, don't think about that as much. But let's talk a little bit how important it is. I'm sure you have stories where you got the deal done because you knew the listing agent and you were able to explain why your buyer was so qualified, and because they trusted you, maybe yours wasn't the highest offer, but they knew it was the best offer.
It is. So it's important to have mutual respect in this industry. And part of that is, like you just said, that they know if I bring an offer in, that I've went through the steps to get them pre-approved, because there's a lot of moving parts through a transaction, right? So you want to make sure the agent on the other side understands that and can work through it. And you are trying to negotiate the best offer for your client, but at the same time, you're not trying to attack the other side. Because if you do that, you get a reputation, and then if we're in one of those multiple offer situations and it's close, they're going to probably tell their client, hey, this agent here we've had issues with, they're not responsive, they're not professional, whatever it may be. and they may end up picking another agent over that. Just be, if it's close, if it's obviously money talks, right? So a high offer, they may take a chance, but with all the moving parts in the real estate, you want to make sure that both sides understand each other, and it does help when they get along. Yep.
No, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't consider. I mean, the same thing, like, on the lending side, we have people like, oh, well, I got this email and it sounded like a really great rate, so I applied with them. Or, oh, I saw a commercial on TV and it looked really cool, so I applied with them. And, we don't want to badmouth the competition, but it's kind of like, okay, that's great. Well, this is our terms. But here's the main difference. We're going to close. My experience has been that lender you just mentioned, I mean, don't take our word for it. Call your realtor. They're probably going to be a little bit hesitant about accepting an offer from that lender. Some people just don't put a lot of thought into how to choose their realtor, their lender, or anything else. And it's super important because we're the ones who are behind the scenes, you and I together, getting these deals done, right? The lender and the realtor. So if you're listening, please choose your lender, choose your realtor wisely. If you need a good realtor, we work with the top 4%. Give us a call. We're happy to introduce you to great people like Tony and Marcus and Erica and everyone else, at Integrity Plus and, other ones as well. But depending where you are, I mean, if we just did some loans in Florida, we're doing loans all over the place. So, I know, Tony, with your group, you guys continue to get more and more listings. Congratulations on your success there. Real quickly, with a couple minutes we have left, just talk about your success and how you continue to grow this market.
So it's really the agents on the team. So every agent, we don't just go out and just pick any agent to join the team. We wanted to meet and work with integrity. That's why it's in our name. So I think that goes a long way. We're not family, but we work as family. Like, we're all very supportive of each other. Again, with this market, if you have to go see a house and, Marcus is already showing houses and Marcus' client needs help, one of us will step in to make sure they get to see that house before it goes off the market. So that teamwork, to me, means everything, because I was a solo agent once, and it is hard. It's hard when you have to handle everything yourself. So you need to set that up. And it not only benefits us, but it benefits our clients.
Yeah, especially, if you're out listing houses or showing houses, someone's got to be there. You have the whole team. Same thing us in Freedmont. I mean, I know you deal with Kevin a lot, but if Kevin's at one of your closings and Marcus needs something, he's got Marnie or other people on his team, Haley, whoever, right there waiting. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is just how some companies are set up differently. Like, we even license our processors as loan officers so they can actually legally talk rates and everything else with clients in case the loan officer's, preoccupied with a settlement or getting a loan to closing, whatever the case may be. So the other cool thing is, you probably saw this on social media, we have 7 of our loan officers made top 1% in the country, which is really incredible. So kudos to our guys for that. I know they love working with you guys, and like I said, big testament. I just gave you a good friend of mine as a referral. Hopefully, maybe some of these Hampstead properties you brought up in your listings, maybe it'll buy one of them. I'll have to see what happens. But
so it's funny. I actually just showed them a couple of properties before we come on the show. So
oh, excellent. Yeah, I tried reaching him this morning. He didn't get back to me, so I guess he was busy with you. But it's all good. Well, I'll tell you what. I appreciate you guys joining us. Real quickly, tell people how to reach you again.
Yep. The easiest way is just go to our website, which is theintegrityplusnetwork.com, or you can always reach out by phone, 443-610-9462.
Sounds good. All right, well, I appreciate you guys joining us. I want to thank our sponsors, Hampstead Pre-Owned. If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle, these guys can really help you out. And if you're looking to sell one, they'll help you out there as well. Of course, Tony and Erica and Marcus and all the gang at Integrity Plus Network, our friends at Cooper's and Solancha. And, of course, who else? Flowers and Fancies and Freedmont, FREEDMONT.com. If you need a mortgage, we've been helping people for almost 30 years. We're happy to help you out. Never an application fee. We have people on standby today. And, of course, on purchases, we get that complimentary home warranty. A lot of great products out there as well. And we're a direct lender, not a broker, so we get the loans done. We also have great third-party testimonials. We just had one the other day that a little bit of crazy situation, but we got it done in 2 weeks because the client made a crazy offer. But we were able to get it done. So we're here for you. And if you need us, once again, we're open today, 800-955-8508 or Freedmont.com. All right, that's it for us today. Why don't you guys have a great rest of the Sunday and a great week. And if you need us, we're here for you. Otherwise, we'll talk to you next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening.